In the beginning, there was me, and there was Dave, and that was good. But we had questions. Where had we come from? Where had all life come from? But then, like a miracle, a guy jumped over our fence. He seemed very nervous and in a bit of a hurry. When he wasn't looking over his shoulder, he told us that he was a creationist and that we could stop thinking because he had all the answers. He told us about the Creation Museum in Petersburg, Kentucky, and about Ken Ham, and about Mr. Ham's answers in Genesis, how the earth is 6,000 years old, and that life was created in 6 days and hasn't changed since. That dinosaurs lived with humans, and that they were even our friends. That dinosaurs used those big sharp teeth to eat plants, which aren't really living, so can't really die. That dinosaurs were on the Ark, and that the flood of Noah is the single year-long event that created the fossil record and all the landforms we see today. Then our new creationist friend asked us if we would like to buy some instructional videos. Sadly, we had to tell him no. We didn't have much money because we had just paid our taxes. Without another word, he walked away. The poor guy, the ass of his very nice jumpsuit, got ripped when Dave gave him a friendly nudge back over the fence. Dave and I decided we had to go see this museum. That afternoon we looked at maps and planned our trip. We dreamt of the answers we would find in Kentucky, and as afternoon turned to evening, we had beer, and it was good. To prevent possible confusion, I guess I should say that by day, I do actually mean a 24-hour literal day. On the morning of the second day, things were good. We had lots to do, after coffee, of course. First, I had to arrange for a leave of absence from work. No, this is Harry. I'm coming down with something. I can't make it in this week. Okay, goodbye. We had to close up the house, load up our gear, get the van ready. Whew, break time. We played rock, paper, scissors to see who would drive. As usual, Dave lost, and off we went. In the evening, we camped. We had beer, and it was good. On the morning of the third day, it was not good. The van wouldn't start. Try it again, I yelled. But no go. We tried everything. We tried praying, but no go. Later, studies showed that our prayers had no statistically significant effect at all. We won't try that again. Dave and I talked it over and decided to proceed on foot. We walked, and we walked, and we walked some more. At one point, we thought we were lost, but then we saw it, a sign, and into the woods we went. That evening, we camped on a very neat rock. We had beer, and it was good. On the morning of the fourth day, it was not good. Our backs were very sore. When we looked at the rock we had slept on more closely, we quickly learned why. It wasn't smooth. It had ridges and ripples, almost as though it was an old sea bottom, somehow frozen in solid rock. How could that be, we wondered. Wait, we thought. We had found evidence of Noah's flood. We were so excited that we decided to climb to the top of the nearest tallest hill to shout it to the world. Strangely, as we climbed up, we found other rocks at different heights that had the same rippled pattern, and the rocks were definitely layered. We thought about that for a while. It seemed obvious that the rocks around us could not have possibly been created by a single short-duration event. How excited our creationist friends in Kentucky would be to learn that there had been many floods over a long period of time. After all, we had been told that they were practically foaming at the mouth about the one flood they did know about, and the rocks were full of fossils, strange fossils, fossils of creatures that no longer exist. Strangely, none had backbones. They were definitely marine creatures, but there were no whales, and not even any fish. And they weren't sorted vertically according to size, as had been suggested by our creationist friend. Curious. We finally made it to the top. Dave found something that, at first, took our breath away. It looked like very old wood. Our creationist friend had told us that the only reliable way to date anything was to use what he called biblical genealogy. We couldn't see how to practically apply that, but the wood sure looked ancient. It looked like it could be 4,000 years old. We slowly, carefully worked it out of the rocks and debris. In the light of day and reason, it turned out to be nothing. Nothing at all. That evening, we camped on the hill. We thought about what we had seen. We had beer, and it was good. On the morning of the 5th day, things were good. At least we knew what we had to do. We'd go back to the last church we had passed and see if they could clarify this creationism business. But when we got there, if you can believe it, it turned out that the people there based all their beliefs on a single book, and it was the only book they had. And not only that, it was a really old book. So old, in fact, that nobody could tell exactly who had written it. The only thing that anyone could say for sure was that it had been written by many different guys who often had disagreed on many details, as well as on some fundamental key points, and that for some reason there had been only very limited attempts to fix those inconsistencies and contradictions over the course of many centuries. We sat outside for a while on, ironically enough, a rock that showed clear layering. Hadn't anyone else seen the things that we had? Why had people stopped observing and thinking so long ago? Then another sign was visited upon us. The events of the evening are somewhat hazy, but I do remember the bartender. His name was Leatherup. He told us where we could find some answers. There are places, he said, that have many books. These places are called libraries. And miraculously, there was one right around the corner which would be open in the morning. I guess you could say that Leatherup witnessed to us. We had beer, and it was good. On the morning of the 6th day, Dave and I woke up on the library's front steps. Sure enough, it was full of books. Books written in recent times. Books about life, rocks, the planet as a whole, the solar system, and even the universe. Books by identified authors, authors who had done research and who were asked about what they had written, and who had been asked to justify what their books contained. Authors who stated clearly that they had yet to figure out all the answers, but that they were sharing what they had discovered so far. Authors who printed new books to correct the mistakes in their previous books, as pointed out to them by other authors and by their own further study and thinking. Books reporting the findings of something called the scientific method. Books which are based on the belief that it is best to start with the question rather than with the answer. Books that contain explanations which made sense to us, since they actually fit the things we had seen with our own eyes. These explanations were at odds, to say the least, with the ones that we had been told about earlier by our creationist friend, who suddenly seemed, well, pathetic and maybe, just maybe, dishonest. We wondered if we could buy some of these books, but the nice librarian lady told us that we could borrow them, free of charge. They had already been paid for, she explained, with tax dollars. Suddenly, certain things made sense. We left with as many books as we could carry. We decided that Kentucky could wait, perhaps forever. We walked, and we walked, and we walked some more. Finally, we were home. We read, and we had beer, and it was good. On the 7th day, being mere mortals, we rested, and we and it was good.